What's up YouTube? Sinister Spawn back at it with another video. In this video, I will be giving my review to the new Terrifier 2 by Damien Leone. This movie, man, just was insane. It was a festival of brutality and human carnage displayed on a whole other level. It was that brutal. I believe two people walked out of the theater halfway. Both were females. And then, you had guys and females turning their heads, looking away from the screen at certain scenes, which was pretty gnarly, but overall, what a brutal film. So, the first Terrifier had a runtime of 82 minutes. This movie has a total runtime of 138 minutes, which is like 2 hours and 20 minutes, if that's right, which is insane for a slasher flick. It is one of the longest, if not the longest, slasher flicks that I've ever watched in my entire life. Obviously, Art the Clown is back in action, and he's come back to Miles County 1 year after the events that happened in the first movie. In this film, he is targeting a sister and her younger brother, Jonathan and Sienna. And they're played by Lauren Levera and Elliot Fullman. For those of you that don't know who Elliot Fullman is, he's a YouTuber, and he's had a YouTube channel for years called Little Punk People. I've been a fan of his YouTube videos for years. I've always watched them. He interviews like death metal bands such as Cannibal Corpse, all that. There's a scene in the movie where he's in his bedroom, and you could just see a bunch of death metal posters all around his room, which was a pretty nice touch, considering the fact that he interviews such bands on his YouTube channel, which is awesome. I just thought it was great, and I was so stoked when I heard the news that he was going to be a part of the movie. But let's talk about Lauren Levera that plays Sienna in the movie. She was just, man, phenomenal. She was the baddest female protagonist in the slasher flick that I've ever watched. She was just so badass. It made you just want to keep watching the film. It was that good. Her performance, just ace, perfect. And let's talk about Art. Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton. Man, David just killed it, and I will say he's brought some new stuff to the table in this movie. He's got some new quirks. He's got some comedy in here as well, which was done very well. It wasn't overdone or to the point where we're looking at him like he's just a joke now. It was that kind of comedy that was like effective yet still creepy, and it was just executed perfectly. I feel like David is growing with this character as time passes by. David's just embedded himself in this character so good that once the makeup and stuff is on, it's no longer David. It's Art the Clown taking over, and that's just pretty cool to see that character progression. Where the actors become one with their character and they just take it to new lengths and new heights, and that's just pretty cool to see. Especially if you've been there since the very beginning, All Hallows Eve, and then it went to Terrifier 1, now Terrifier 2. It's cool to see this character hit new heights. Now, Damien Leone, he did so much with so little. For it to be a crowdfunded movie, it's pretty impressive, I will say that. Damien's vision is just coming to life now, and, it's coming to life in full force. Everything from the directing to the special effects makeup, it's all courtesy of Damien, man, and that guy is he's hard at work and just working hard to perfect his craft, and that's just pretty cool to see. The makeup effects, just otherworldly, just mind-blowing what they did. And you can tell in some scenes they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna do it, and what happens, and they ran with it, and you could tell that they weren't scared to do what they wanted to. They set the bar higher in this movie, and honestly, this movie makes Terrifier 1 look pretty weak. Yeah, first Terrifier has nothing on this one, man. The only thing was obviously cool about the first movie was the saw kill where he's sawing the female in half. But yeah, Terrifier 2, awesome. So there is a backstory to the brother and sister, I believe. They kind of teased it in the movie, but they didn't really elaborate on it. And a lot of people were kind of iffy or mad about that. That, this movie was 2 hours, 20 minutes long, and they didn't really give answers on their past. Uh, Sienna, who was played by Lauren, apparently has a father who had visions, I believe, and, saw these events coming. And they really didn't elaborate on much. The only thing they elaborated on was that Sienna was the chosen one to take out Art the Clown. That was about it. We really didn't get much after that. And honestly, I don't mind it. I mean, I don't mind waiting for that story to be told in the next film because I know that's what they're setting up to do. People were also kind of like mad or iffy that some of these scenes were just too long and dragged out. And people said that you can't build suspense like that, but in my opinion, I felt like that kind of keeps the suspense flowing. It keeps it brewing, and I just felt like it was pretty cool how they dragged that suspense out. I mean, sure, it can diminish for some people, but for me, I thought it was pretty cool. Now the cinematography was just amazing. They were maneuvering this camera through narrow hallways and wrapping corners with it. It was just done so well, and you could tell that what Damien had in mind is what, you know, came to life, and it's just his vision coming to life now, and that's just pretty cool to see, man. The way they maneuvered this camera through some of those sets was just impressive. Now, I'm not sure if they shot this movie with digital or film, but it has that very grainy look, which I love. It yells 80s horror, grindhouse horror. One thing I do also like is that how they meshed together the modern era and the 80s era straight together, and they made it work so well. You get a little bit of both worlds in this movie, which I love. You also get a story. Versus the first movie, you didn't get a story. You just kind of got this clown going around killing people. Now you have Art the Clown in a story, and there's, they're trying to build something off of it, which is cool because if there is a Terrifier 3, I'm all for it. I wouldn't mind watching it. And yeah, I could see how them explaining a little bit of the backstory to some of these characters and then not saying much afterwards can aggravate people, but I feel like it just builds more anticipation for the next film, and I'm okay with that. Um, I don't want to spoil too much, guys, but the movie itself was just done so well for it to be a crowdfunded movie. It was done very well, and they used their budget well. The gore, though, the gore takes this movie to new lengths and new heights. If you love to see some comedy emerged in horror, but not overdone, this movie did that well. Art the Clown, being funny yet remaining creepy and very disturbing at times. I felt like it was just done so well, and they knew that they had to walk a fine line when it came to that, because the last thing you want is for people to not take this character serious anymore. But I will go on to say this, Art the Clown is on track to become the next big horror icon, like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy. He's definitely on that track to become the new horror icon for this new generation of horror fans. And, the only way to go from here is up, and I feel like Art is definitely in full takeoff mode. And Damien's hard work is paying off. And it's just cool to see that, considering the fact that I've been there since All Hallows Eve, and just seeing how this character in this story, if that's what you want to call it, is progressing, it's just pretty badass. But, yeah, if you're a fan of brutality, gore, and human carnage, give this movie a watch. you won't be disappointed. My closing thoughts on this is that I know they're going to go in a supernatural direction. It's pretty obvious because he's alive. They're going in a supernatural direction, which is cool. I'm curious to see what they come up with. I'm also curious to see how they explain the remainder of the backstory to the brother and sister, and maybe we'll get a backstory on Art the Clown. Let me know what you guys think. If you watched the movie, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Were you put off by it? Are you anticipating a part 3? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Smash the subscribe button if you haven't. And, yeah, I think that's about it. One more thing. This film is a festival of carnage and just human brutality displayed on a different level. That's how I'm going to close this video. So, if you plan on going to watch this movie or taking somebody to watch this movie with a weak stomach, don't do it. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it. I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.